Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Corey Vaness. I decided to put together a little educational video on a very important topic. What we're going to be learning about today is money. Whoop, I dropped it. There we go. Now the thing that I personally find a little bit funny about money is that the average person really has no idea where money actually comes from, how it's created, and how we get it in our lives. And it's a little ironic considering that we're all born into a system that requires us to get this stuff. The necessities, food, water, shelter, transportation, all cost money. So if we're not actively involved in getting this stuff in our lives in one way or another, we're probably not going to have a very high quality of life. Now, not a lot of people realize that this piece of paper that I'm holding in my hand is little more than that, okay? It's little more than a piece of paper created out of thin air by the private Federal Reserve. Not a lot of people realize that our money supply is actually created, controlled, and regulated by a private organization. It's not a government agency. And if you ask me, there's something wrong with that. But that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. The purpose of this video is just to really give you a really solid understanding of how our money system actually works. And not only that, but we're going to go a step further, and I'm going to share with you what I personally believe to be one of, if not the greatest ways to get this stuff in your life. Now, this video might be a little bit long. It's going to require more than a 10-second attention span. So, if you gotta go grab yourself some refreshments and some snacks and get all comfortable and settle in here, might not be a bad idea, because I'd really appreciate it if you stuck around the whole time and paid close attention, because by the time you get to the end of this thing, you're going to be a little bit smarter, okay? I was the first time I came across this information, I know that. So, basically, throughout the course of this video, you're going to be hearing predominantly from a guy by the name of Dave Wood. Now, Dave Wood is a very successful internet entrepreneur, and he's actually created his own company to kind of fight the forces of evil and oppression and financial restraint here in the United States and all around the world for that matter. And that's also going to be part of this video. You're going to be learning about a really, really cool opportunity. Now, whether or not that's for you, that's going to be completely up to you. I'm not going to ask you for any money in this video, so relax, okay? The primary focus here is really just learning more about this stuff. And I think it's a real good idea that everybody at least has a basic understanding of where our money actually comes from. So, let's get right into it. Here we go.
Hey there, my friends. This is Dave Wood. I live in Costa Rica, and I like to walk around the house barefoot. I don't know if you've ever got a chance to live in a third world country today, or ever is what, I really meant. But, it's nice. I wake up every single day. This is the view that I have outside of my house, and it wasn't always like this. In fact, a year and a half ago, I lived in a van. It was a green 1996 Dodge Caravan, had the paint peeling off of it, rusted tires, working for Greenpeace, and I was making about $8 an hour. My wife slept in the van with me, and she'd been married to me for about 2 years. One night, it was 2 in the morning, and I got a knock, knock, knock on my window in the van that I lived in, and it was a cop. And what the cop said to me after he woke me up was he said that he was going to write me a ticket for my last $35. Now, I don't know if you've ever had only $35 in a bank account before. Actually, this is gone. I don't even know why this is there. But it's not fun. And I got that ticket, only had about $35, $40 in my bank account. The ticket was for $35. So the last $35 that I had that I needed for gas to put in my van so I could survive, so I could go try to make money and get food, was paid to the state of Hawaii for being homeless. Now, if that's not a slap in the face, I don't know what is. And so I had no money. Today I'm actually going to show you the ultimate way that I discovered of getting money. Because here's what happened to me. I decided that something needed to change. I started a business. It was an online business. I'd never marketed on the internet before, and I had no money to market my business. And when you think of marketing, you think of money. Well, I had a problem with money. I didn't know how to make it. And so here's what happened to me. I got started in that online business, and within 45 days, I had actually had a night where I made over $12,000 in one 2-hour period of time. That week I actually made over $25,000. I made more than $25,000 a week. I dropped out of college. I got F's in 8th grade, and I didn't know how to use the internet. And I was pinching myself because I didn't know how all this money started manifesting in my life. And I started to really ask the question, how is it that money comes into our life, and how was I able to make so much so fast? And that's how I discovered the ultimate way to get money. So let me show you some neat things that I've kind of figured out along the way, and I'm going to kind of take you on a tour a little bit through this property. And I think that you are not only going to find this one of the most relaxing presentations that you've ever seen and one of the most convincing, but I think that you are going to have some personal and financial breakthroughs from what you're about to learn. So let me show you some real money. I've got right here on my desk some silver bullion coins. Now this is actually about $10,000 of silver. Each one of these coins is 1 ounce of 0.999% pure silver, minted by the U.S. Treasury, and it can actually be used as legal currency. They're minted as $1, but the silver in the coins alone is worth right now about 38. And there's actually a real good chance that we might have hyperinflation here in the States, and if that happens, of course, these coins that you see right here are actually going to go from about $38 to about 900. So let me show you some other nifty things, and then I'm going to attach this camera back again. But let me kind of wade through this here, because I didn't always understand this, and I wouldn't have known had somebody showed me this when I lived in a van about 1.5 years ago. I literally would not have known that this was worth $45. I would have turned it, I would have looked on the back, I would have said that it saw $1, and I would have thought they were trying to give me $1. So if my boss owed me $20 and he said, I'm going to do you a favor and give you 40 by giving me a 1 ounce silver coin, I wouldn't have known, and I would have taken the 20 instead, thinking he was trying to rip me off. Isn't that fascinating? Most people just don't understand how money works. They don't understand how it's created. They don't understand how the government creates it out of thin air. And more importantly, they don't understand how not only is it being taken away from the middle class and the poor and passed into the hands of the rich, but if they don't act, they're not only going to be in poverty, but there's a very good chance that they will not survive. Talking about the art of money book making, there's this really great book that I discovered in my quest to learn the ultimate way to get money. I discovered this book called The 4-Hour Workweek. Now, I first read into this book, I was kind of mad at it, and the reason why is because I was working 40 hours a week, and I lived in a van, and I opened this book. It's by this guy named Timothy Ferriss. He actually started a nutrition company online, and he got, if you look on the back of this book, I want to show you something here. It says how Tim, I don't know if you can read this, went from making $40,000 per year and 80 hours per week of work to $40,000 per month working less than 4 hours per week. How to outsource your life to overseas virtual assistants for $5 an hour and do whatever the heck you want. So I picked this up, and first of all, I wasn't making $40,000 a year, and I was working about 80 hours a week. I was poor. But second of all, he was making $40,000 per month in 4 hours a week, and I said, this guy knows something that I don't know. I started to really ask myself, why don't I have money, and why can't I get more money into my life? And the more I researched, the deeper the rabbit hole went, and the more that I realized as I moved deeper into the rabbit hole that I did not understand money growing up at all. And if I didn't change my beliefs very, very, very quickly, not only would I continue to not understand money at all in my life, but I would be poor as my destiny for the rest of my life. And so let's walk in the house now. Hold on a second. Got to turn this camera around. And I am actually going to show you different ways of getting money. I'm going to show you how money is created from thin air. I'm going to show you how, this is important, to get more money in your life, and the only place that it comes from. That's right, money only comes from one place, and that's the funky thing that most people don't in fact understand. So Let's take you into my little home office here. This is a little bit messy because my maids haven't been over since this morning. Yes, I have 2 maids. I don't clean my house at all. I got to move this tripod a little bit to get it to where it will look at the chalkboard. And you know, one of the things that I discovered in that book, The 4-Hour Workweek, I used to want to control everything. I would have never hired maids several years ago. This was a little description that I made for a guy who came over here. I was teaching him how to market his photography business on the internet. This is kind of what I do for a living. I am very good at making money online and very good at teaching it to other people. In fact, I'm not only the #1 recruiter in one of the largest home businesses on the planet, but I am also the #1 producer inside the largest online attraction marketing community, and I started doing it, get this, when I was living in a 1996 Dodge Caravan on the North Shore of Oahu, Hawaii, with absolutely no money to start. So sometimes people say, Dave, I got you. I want to make money. I'm so excited about the concept of having more money and more prosperity in my life. However, because of my financial lack and because of the fact that I don't have anything to start, I don't possibly see how I could ever get more money into my life. So let me show you, in fact, how the different ways of making money manifest and how you can end the frustration forever. And let me actually show you why I chose certain directions and what that's led to today. Now, I'm not the richest person in the world because I don't think that I want to be, because I don't want the responsibility, and I also don't want to bother trying. However, I have made over $5,000 a week minimum for the last year, almost and a half, and my life is the coolest life of anybody that I know. Now, just as a warning, this camera may run out of battery, so I might need to stop this presentation, and I think you'll be amazed that I can talk for this long with almost no breath, but I might have to stop this presentation and restart it, so if that happens, well, you'll know why. As this presentation is going through, I'm actually going to be showing you proof, pictures of checks that I've earned, different companies that have paid me lots of money into my bank account. I'm going to show you links, and I'm going to show you statistics. As I'm kind of talking here, you're going to kind of see these kind of draw onto the screen. Beaches that I visited, you already saw the beautiful view in front of my house. I actually got interviewed today by Home Business Connection. I'm going to be the cover story of Home Business Connection on the next issue that's mailed out. The lady was blown away because I started to describe to her what I'm about to describe for you. Now, I don't have this book, but you're going to see an image of it, hopefully, if I remember, flash on the screen. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island. Now, when I read this book, previous to reading it, I had no idea where money came from at all. And when I read this, it was appalled. Now, this isn't quite how to get money yet. This is just where it comes from. So let's talk about this. You know, where does money come from? You know, when I grew up, I had no idea to even ask the question where money comes from. I assumed that a dollar bill was worth 20 bucks. Hold on, let me try to find a dollar bill to show you how much it's actually worth, if I can find it. Let me show you actually how much I think that this money is worth. I actually don't have any dollar bills probably on me. Oh, I actually do. Hold on just one second. I have a $10 bill. I want to show you how much this $10 bill is really worth. So let's step back into my office here really quick, and I want to paint out an illustration. Let me make sure this is lined up properly and looking at the whiteboard. I want to show you actually how much this $10 bill is worth. You see this on the screen? You got a picture here. I don't even know which president. Hamilton. Okay, we've got Hamilton. $10. You know, when I was in the 80s. Okay, I was born in 1981, May 17th, 1981. $10 an hour was a lot of money. You know how much $10 an hour is today? It's about this much. Why, folks? Because I assumed my entire stinking life I was lied to, not by my parents because they didn't understand, but by the government, by education, by the banking system. I assumed that this worthless toilet paper that I'm crunching up on the screen is actually real money, and you know what it is? It's trash, it's paper, and it's not worth anything more than a stack of paper that I've got over here. You see this? This is worth actually about $1 million, because if you look at this giant stack of paper, this is about how much paper it would take to print off $1 million in $100 bills. And so let's talk about where this money actually comes from, and then let's get into the simple science of having all the money in your life that you could possibly want to have. So where does money come from? Where did that $10 bill that I just ripped up because it's toilet paper to me, where did this $10 bill that I had in my life until I tore it up come from? Well, let me explain to you how it got from where it was created to me. This is what happens. We've got the big government. And you know what the government loves to do? they love to spend money on stuff. In fact, I don't think that it's possible, regardless of whether somebody is a Republican or a Democrat or another party that gets invented out of thin air, to be elected to president without wanting to spend more money on something to prove that their schlong is bigger than the president that served before he did. So I don't know if this is actually true. I've only been alive since 1981 and seen the deficit go from about 6 trillion now to 14 trillion where we sit today, and increasing by trillions and trillions every single year. But government is really good at a couple of things. Number one thing they're really good at is stealing from the people. That's the first thing that they're really good at. And the next thing they're really good at is being really inefficient. So we look at this, I can't even spell inefficient because I failed through school, and I managed to pass just because of the fact that I was really, really, really good at copying. No, I'm kidding, I wasn't. The government's good at stealing, they're good at being inefficient, and they're good at throwing people in jail if people don't let them steal from you. So this is pretty much all the government's good at, and they're really good at overspending, spending. In fact, they're so good at it that every single year for the last 100 years, we have spent more money every single year than we spent the previous year. Now, when I first looked at this, I said the government must be bad at managing money. But it's not, in fact, the case. When I actually looked into the mechanics and the science of why they're spending more money every single year, I dawned upon a realization that was so appalling, I literally sat up and I screamed. I'm not kidding. I about flipped out because I had been poor a majority of my life. I failed every job I ever had. I failed my way through high school, and I could never figure out why life was such a struggle for me. And I mean, heck, I'm kind of smart, darn. I mean, look how fast I'm talking about stuff. Heck, I must be smart, right? I read tons of books. I was intelligent. I could do math really quick. I was really good in conversation. I was really good at explaining things and teaching things, but for some reason, the traditional system always made me struggle and always made me frustrated. Why? Well, this is the answer why. Let me show you actually how this whole process starts. So I said, well, the government's stealing and they're inefficient, and that's what I assumed at first. But let me tell you actually what I discovered. You see, it used to be written in the U.S. Constitution. I'm using the United States as an example because, when I was born in the States, it was a great country. Everybody was patriotic. Everybody would have died for their country, except the Jehovah's Witnesses. Those guys definitely would rather knock on the door, but they're great people too. We had a great country of a lot of patriotic people, did we not? Well, I think that we have a wonderful country. We had lots of people, $10 an hour then was even a lot of money. It wasn't as much as it was in like 1912, but it was still a fairly amount of money. The money supply was managed okay, but we were just starting to run into some problems. But I didn't understand how any of this stuff happened, but here's what I discovered actually happened. We used to have a congressional enforced money supply backed in gold and silver. Remember how I showed you that big thing of silver that's sitting outside my house that's worth about $8 grand in silver today? It's actually probably worth about 10 grand with the recent increase in silver price. I actually bought it for about 5 grand, that big tub that you see out there. It's about doubled in the last 6 months or so. But Congress used to have a gold and silver backed money supply that was controlled by the federal government. 3 times in the United States history, central banks came up and they tried to take control of the money supply. Now, a central bank is a bank like the FED, the Federal Reserve, and it is not controlled by the government. It's controlled by private people, and nobody knows who they are. That's the way central banks have always operated, and in fact, banks like the central banks and monetary systems like we have today have actually caused the physical collapse of over 600 civilizations through history. Isn't that fascinating? Well, the Federal Reserve said, you know what, we're having banking problems in the world. There's a problem with gold and silver. We can't infinitely expand the economy because gold and silver is keeping it in fixed margins. We need a centralized controls bank so we don't have bank crunch, so we can insure people's money in the bank so people feel safe and secure. And for safety and security, we got bamboozled and tricked into believing that a centrally controlled private bank was better at managing our money supply than God-given gold and silver. And let me tell you exactly what's happened since then. If you look at a chart of inflation from the time the United States was formed, which I believe is 1776, all the way up until the time the Federal Reserve was formed, which I believe was 1929, although I could be a little bit off on those dates. You can look them up on the internet. The inflation chart goes like this. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down, fairly flat line. We get to 1929, and here's what happens. The Federal Reserve enters in, and they start to control the money supply, meaning that a private organization that's ran by people that no one knows who they are start to control money, lending, and spending, and they start to do it on their own terms. In other words, a few people that we don't understand are controlling all the spending in the entire world and are designing a system that we have to play by, and we no longer have a choice in the matter. Let me explain to you, though, what happened to inflation. If you haven't followed that inflation chart, and if you don't believe me, just look up any inflation chart on Google. Right around 1929, and you can correlate this date with the time that we passed control of the money supply from the Congress backed in gold and silver to the Federal Reserve that had a fractional reserve lending. Inflation basically goes like this, to where today a dollar is worth about, what, 2 cents or less, maybe 1 cent was worth before 1929. And so you say, well, how did this process happen? Well, we went from having our money backed in tangible assets to having something really fascinating happen in the economy. And let me explain to you exactly what it is that happened. We started doing something called fractional reserve lending. Now, if you really want to know what fractional reserve lending is, I want you to read that book. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island, and it's really going to open your eyes to how all this stuff works. Let me turn the light on here really quick, see if I can get a little bit more definition in my face. Fractional reserve lending essentially means this. It means a bank can create money out of thin air. Now, I'm not explaining to you the entire process of how it works. I'm going to explain to you exactly what you need to do to get more money into your life. Does that sound fair? So let me explain to you first what money is and how it's created by the Federal Reserve today. All right, now we know that money is just paper, and we know that it's only valuable because we think it's valuable. There is no tangible asset backing it other than you and I, birth certificates and our ability to pay taxes. That's the only thing that backs it. But let me explain to you the appalling truth and bring that into the real truth of how to create prosperity. Let's cut through all the bull crap and the fluff, and let me show you the ultimate way to get money, period. You ready for this? All right, so how's money created? Well, the United States, they want more money, so guess what they do? They issue something called a bond that they then borrow money from the Federal Reserve to fund that bond. They then promise to pay a % of interest to the bondholders on that bond, and also simultaneously they're lent money from the Federal Reserve to get that bond, and guess who they have to pay? They have to pay the Federal Reserve an interest rate. Here's what that money comes from. You ready? The money comes from the United States lending, meaning money is created out of thin air, not from any tangible assets, but from debt. Now, if I misexplain this process even a little bit, I do apologize. I'm not a university professor. I'm a guy who flunked 8th grade. However, I understand fractional reserve lending better than most people do. So let me explain to you how this works. So money is literally created out of debt. Now, let me ask you a question here real quick. Does that make sense? Not really, right? So you say, wait. So where's the money come from? Private bank prints it, gives it to the government, who then issues a bond. Government has to pay interest to this guy. Government has to pay interest to this guy. Now, what's the problem with creating interest on money that was created from debt? Here's the problem. You're creating money by adding ones and zeros to a little computer that then prints off the money. And in fact, today, not all of it's printed. It's just circulating in ones and zeros in computers. Well, here's the problem that this creates. Let me explain to you exactly what happens and why it's so appalling. Because this money, number one, is all the money that there is, and if the debt was paid off, there would be no money. That's right. If we paid off all the debt that we have, that $14 trillion that we owe, which is about $47,000 per man, woman, and child that exists in the United States, that's how much we all owe, all these people all over the world we're borrowing money from, there would be no money with our current system. So in other words, our current system of having money can't exist without debt. Isn't that appalling? It's absolutely unbelievable that only 1 in about 100,000 people know that, but it's clearly written if you read any of the documents on fractional reserve lending by the Federal Reserve. They create it out of thin air, then they charge interest on it. Now here's the crazy thing, because they're charging interest on money, the only money that they've created, there's always more debt than there is money, and that's just where it begins. The rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper, my friend. In fact, through this process of continuous lending and debt creation, the money supply is increased by 100 times over this $10,000 that the Federal Reserve printed that was issued in bonds, and there is 100 times the money floating around in our economy than was originally created out of what? Thin air. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. I know a lot of you are struggling with debt. I want to encourage you in the fact that, number one, yes, I do think that you should pay off your debts if you have the ability to do so and if you can make money to do it. But you know what the real best way to probably pay off our debt would be? It would be to, take a cup like this cup that, I have right here, put a lid on it to trap the air in, bring it into the bank and say, hey, I just wanted to pay you back for all of the money that you lent me. Thank you so much. I want to give you a hand. Because the fact is, folks, we can't pay it off. It's impossible to pay off because the more money that's created, the more interest is created, and the more interest there is, then debt. The more interest there is than money. Today, it is impossible to pay it off. There is no way to do it other than collapsing and resetting the system. Isn't that appalling? Nobody's ever explained that to you. Now, 99% of you are going to say, yeah, Dave, you're off your rocker. I promise you, go pick up that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, study fractional reserve lending for the next 6 months, and I promise you, you will not come to any other conclusion but the fact that money is created from debt. It's the only place that it comes from. And not only is it impossible to pay off if we did, nobody would be able to spend because the money would be gone. It'd be all back in the Federal Reserve. And we can't do that because we would still owe because there's more debt than there is money. Isn't that encouraging? Isn't that something that wants to make you jump up for joy? You say, Dave, I thought this started positive. I want to learn how to make tons of money in my life. Well, let me explain to you exactly how you can do that. So I started looking at this and I say, man, that's really defeating, is it not? I mean, when you look at what that actually is, what's the Bible say, right? I'm not even like this avid Christian Bible guy, but what's the Bible say about it? Well, here's what the Bible says. It says, the borrower is servant to the lender. We're essentially kept in bondage, not just as a country, but by private people, everybody in the world. All of our money, if we have money, that's backed by us living in the United States, which of course now I live in Costa Rica, but I still am a United States citizen, so technically by that citizenship, guys, I owe money that I've never even spent. Isn't that appalling? We're kept in this bondage by people, and we don't know who they are, that run the Federal Reserve. It's a private organization. So let's talk to you, though, about this concept of money. Let's accept it and let's stop being negative. Let's just look at it for what it is. Let's step back and say, okay, I understand what's going on. However, and this is the big however, how can I get more of it in my life? Because isn't that the real question? Well, let me explain something else to you, and this is going to go deeper into the rabbit hole, and so I hope I don't lose every single one of you, but as I go through this presentation, I think that you'll not only be fascinated by it, but I think that it's going to open up a dimension in your thinking about the best way to get money. You ready? So let's talk about the nature of human beings, who we are and what we're meant to do. In fact, what we're designed to do. I'm going to appeal to two different groups of people who are watching this presentation today, because to be honest, I don't know how things work. I can't claim that I'm this immaculate person that knows all things, that understands everything, that I'm a logical thinker, because we all miss things in life, right? Isn't that true, that we all don't know exactly what's going on, so I can't judge any belief system. So I'm going to appeal to people that think that we were created by a divine being. I'm also going to appeal to people who believe in evolution, okay? Let's explain this here really quick, and let's talk about how people are meant to live. Regardless of what you believe, and this goes back into money, trust me, and it's going to help you get tons more money in your life so much, it's unbelievable. And you're saying, Dave, are you some sort of, are you trying to take my money here? What's going on? Not at all, actually. I'm trying to get you to give me, no, I was kidding. I'm trying to get you to give me money. I'm kidding. All right, let me talk to you guys just really quick, just for one second, about the nature of human beings. Now, I'm not going to get into belief systems, okay? Whether you are a Christian or a Hindu or an atheist, or whether you think that the whole thing is hogwash and we were all just put here by aliens, regardless of what you believe happened, probably it's some sort of variation of somebody's beliefs that's out there, because, not everybody is perfectly right if there's one fixed way of everything, which maybe there isn't. But I want to just say, I'm not here to offend anybody. I just want to talk about biology here for a second. So let's say we were created, right? And let's use the Adam and Eve story here for a second. We were created naked, placed into a tropical garden, and told to eat fruit and to pick plants, and that's how we were going to survive. Life was pretty enjoyable. Talking animals, you're petting the animals, you're talking to the frogs that are jumping all around, you're petting the grass, not knowing that you're naked, just totally innocent to anything that's going on around you in your life. And here's the thing. You were suited in an environment that was perfect for your biology. Your body is designed to do and not do certain things in the day. Let's look at evolutionary biology for a second. we were not evolved in a cubicle. We were evolved in a situation where we were always eating the high-quality foods. In fact, if you talk to evolutionary biologists, you'll find that in the history of the human species, we never worked more than 4 hours per day until about 5,000 years ago with the advent of agriculture. Now, how did agriculture get invented? Well, this is a fascinating discussion, and let me explain to you why it is, because it actually fits into the creation story a little bit as a metaphorical parable, but also it shows something about human nature that very few people are willing to look at, and it actually shows why we even need money in the first place and where it actually comes from. And this is the fascinating part about it. We got to go back to the grassroots in order to get to a more magnificent future. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Because I don't think that you're going to like it. Once upon a time, men were big and strong. In fact, if you go back 6, 7, 8, 10,000 years, our brains used to be 11% bigger than they are today because we ate the way, we acted in a way that our bodies were designed or evolved to act. We ate the best foods, we lived in our natural environment, we were happy being who we were meant to be. Then one day some girl comes along, because heck, those women out there, they sure are smarter than us men. Say her name is Eve, and she discovers in her process of gathering plants that if she just collects a little seed from a little piece of fruit and carries it with her to the next place they go, she discovers by this little seed and this piece of fruit that if she plants it, she can grow a new orange tree. And by doing so, she has now discovered that they no longer have to hunt and gather. In fact, they can just be in one place at a time and continuously produce their own food supply. It's the most important discovery that was ever made to mankind. It took us from having to wander the earth and do what we were really built to do. It took us from that to living in little towns and little cities that gradually evolved into bigger and bigger cities with thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, before this happened, there was only 250,000 people in the world. It's estimated by evolutionary biologists or historians, regardless of who you talk to, 250,000 people total, because the world without agriculture really can't support more than that. So we invent agriculture, and the culture exponentially, it expands in a state that's never been done before. So this culture expands from 250,000 people eventually to a 250 million people, where it kind of stops out for thousands of years. But here's what happens. We're moving along. Keep in mind, we've been living for a long, long, long time, living in a certain way, never going into an office, never having to trade, because we hunted and we ate what we needed and we provided for our families the rest of the day. That's what people have been doing for tens and thousands of years. And we went from that to having to work all day to support an ever-growing and larger civilization. Skills became specialized. People moved from hunting and gathering and telling stories late night in a tribe. They moved from doing things like that to where one guy was a smith and another guy was a musician and another guy was a storyteller and another person was a teacher, and a mom all of a sudden became a housewife, and then they were outsourcing and having other people grow food. And one guy raised cows and another guy planted grass and another person, they planted fruit trees, and they all worked together in these little communities. And I found out that if I give you a coconut, well, then I get a back massage in return, so we can trade, hence the invention of money. Now, for thousands of years, we've used solid asset-backed currency, and here's how we've gotten money. Check this out. I have something you want, I give it to you for something that I want. Merchants developed a skill, and they said if we can put this into an asset-backed currency, backed in something that can be equally traded, we can make a lot more than what other people are giving us. They created coinage, gold and silver coins. One of the coolest inventions ever, because for the first time ever it created an equal trade mechanism where people could create massive amounts of wealth. There became some very wealthy people in the world. In fact, King Solomon, believe it or not, was supposedly, by what it says in the Bible, if he was a real person exactly as it was written in the Bible, King Solomon was supposedly had the wealth of 100 Bill Gates. Can you believe that? He did that through a gold and silver trading real tangible assets. Now, they discovered this. This was discovered by merchants, and it allowed for a good lifestyle for a lot of people in an agricultural, a little bit unnatural, unnerving society for a long time, until somebody discovered that they can trick people into trading something that's not worth anything that they can print for free, which allowed for the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. That's how fiat money got invented, which is what we have today. So how do you get some of that? Well, first of all, if you have fiat money, a lot of it just sitting around, I encourage you to buy something else with it, because it's not worth anything. And the more I get through this presentation, the more you're going to find that it's just worth less and less and less and less. It is literally today virtually worthless, and people just haven't discovered that in large enough numbers yet for us to have a massive situation in an energy crisis. But it is coming, and it's coming soon. So you can either get scared or do something about it. What do you want to do? That makes sense? So let's get into this really quick. So they discovered this phenomenon. They started printing paper money out of thin air in different currencies. That has caused the collapse of 600 civilizations. But in the process of that collapse, has created some of the wealthiest people in the history of the world. See, because what the smartest merchants in the world, what they do, is they create the rules that everybody else plays by. What is the people who create the money systems, what do they have to do for money? Hit a print button. What do you have to do for money? Here's what you have to do. You have to get somebody else to give it to you. It's the only place you can get it. Isn't that funny? It used to be that you had some things that you did, you were a massage therapist and you gave a massage and you got an apple. Today, in order to have money, somebody has to give it to you. So we're taught our entire lives in modern society, like it's normal, that we're meant as human beings to do the following. Let me explain to you where this goes. And some of you guys might be a little bit lost, but let me assure you this is going somewhere that I think is quite valuable and important. We're taught something that's so hilarious when you think about it, you just want to burst into laugh. I'm not kidding. You want to just fall down laughing when you actually think about it. But we're taught it, and we sit there with straight faces for 18 years, being taught by our parents, schools, by federal government, by television, by shows, by Mind Virus, that this is what we're supposed to do in a modern, evolved society. We're supposed to get up in the morning with an alarm clock that wakes us out of our restful sleep. Alright, now first of all, that's the easiest way to ruin a day. If you have an alarm clock, I'd encourage you to smash it with a hammer immediately. And the second thing that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to take a shower. We're supposed to brush our teeth. We're supposed to smell nice because we want to impress all the other people that were around. The next thing that we're supposed to do is hop in a car that's only been around for the next 100 years, or a bus, or a boat, or whatever it is. And we're supposed to go to school when we're a kid and work when we're an adult. And we're supposed to sit there for 8 hours a day like it's normal, listening to boring nonsense that's supposed to teach us useful stuff in life that really, even if you wanted to, you can't do anything with. Today, last year, I made over $350,000, did millions of dollars worth of sales in several different businesses, and I'll tell you what, not one thing that I did came from anything that I learned in school. School is worthless, and it teaches people how to subscribe to a system that keeps them poor. So if you've been poor your whole life, yeah, you can get mad, but let's do something about it. Stop blaming people and just realize, yes, you were lied to about money. No, you don't have to go to a job. And then for the rest of our lives, until we're 65, past the prime of enjoyment in our life, here's what we are supposed to do. 5 days a week, and they're increasing it around the world, by the way. 5 days a week. We're supposed to go for 8 hours a day. We're supposed to work for a boss that may fire us at any time he chooses. We're supposed to listen to bullcrap constantly on TV, and we're supposed to do this for a measly paycheck that we can barely survive at. And here's the kicker. We're supposed to do a job that we're not even good at and that we don't even like. And that's life, they say. Folks, I want to put something in perspective here. Let's say you didn't have the belly, okay, that you have from being stressed and over drinking at night because you're stressed from doing crap that you hate doing all day. Let's say that you didn't have the arthritis from eating the lame food that makes your blood acidic, and that you were living in a natural environment in pristine health. What would you rather do? Work 4 hours a day in a pre-agriculture society, hunting and gathering and hanging out with your family, enjoying the beaches of the world? Or would you rather do this? There's no contest, is there? Doesn't even matter. Okay, you say, oh, my back hurts, I couldn't do that. No. Because if you were doing this, you would be out lifting, you would be out essentially one of the strongest people in the world today. You would have robust health, never have had a cavity in your life, live in the way your biology is designed to support you to live. Therefore, you don't have the anxiety that you have now. You don't have the presuppositions you have now. You're living the way you're dreaming of living when you're 60 and 70 years old, and you're living there now. I want you to think about something. If you were never told you needed money, and you were only living and being 4 hours a day, and doing what you wanted to do, and somebody introduced you to this, I mean, you'd probably puke on their shoes. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard to do. But today, you can't even do that if you want. In fact, if you tried to go out and, say, be a subsistence person, there's a few states that technically you are allowed to do it, where you got to go, first of all, get approval from a government. You got to get approval for them. And then you got to go out and you got to stay within certain bounds. You can't wander to where the best food is, because you got to stay in a certain area when you're doing it. You can't even do it if you want to. If you've got a house, you got to pay for the house. Even if it's paid off, you've got to have money from somewhere to pay the land taxes, because if you don't pay the land taxes, your house gets repossessed. So guess what? If you're not doing something to get money that's created out of thin air into your life, if you're not actively engaged in getting money into your life, you can't even live, meaning you are forced and owned to live by rules that don't make any sense. So understanding that it might be like that for a little while, until we all get mad and throw it down, which hopefully we'll do at one point or another, or come up with a better, more sane solution. I am a little bit crazy. I mean, look at my hair. Let's realize that that's the way that it is. Stop complaining about it. And try to figure out, now, how can I work 4 hours a day or less, just like I would have in a pre-agriculture society, breathe the freshest air in the world, travel where I want to travel, take advantage of all the coolest things in life, have great relationships, have lots of great sex with my spouse, with my partner. And how can I live a life like this without working all day and take advantage in the loopholes of the rich? Well, I'm about to tell you. So how do you get the money that is floating around out there? Because even though I tore up that $10 bill, and that's probably illegal by one stretch of the imagination or another, even though I tore it into little pieces because it's just trash and toilet paper as far as I'm concerned. I've got gold and silver. I'm not going to use this $10 bill, right? Even though I tore it up, how did I get it? Here's a breakthrough, and this will break through. There's only one way to get money today. It wasn't always like this, but this is how it is today. Somebody who has it has to give it to you, and if nobody has it, it has to be created, and then somebody has to give it to you. Right? That's what the Federal Reserve does. They create it, and then they give it away, and then they charge interest on it, which taxes the whole world. Private people doing that. Pretty fascinating, isn't it? But somebody has to give it to you. In fact, there's not another way of getting money today. Somebody has to give it to you. Now, you can have one person give you money like you do as an employee. I want you to contrast something here for a second. Let's say you're an employee. Let's say you follow the system. I want you to contrast an employee with, somebody who's a little bit smarter than an employee financially. We're not saying we're actually more intelligent. We're just saying financially a little bit smarter. An employee, here's what happens. One person that is extremely unreliable gives you money, and this is how you survive. So you have a boss that gives you money. You have a corporation that gives you money. One person. Well, you might consider that smart, but really it's pretty dumb. Okay, you're not dumb if you do it. It's just pretty stupid once you understand that there's better ways. Now let's contrast that for a second. What if you could have a virtually unlimited amount of people from all sorts of different areas? What if you could have this many people all giving you money? Well, not only would your income be more stable, but you can make a lot more. Now, here's a thing I learned from Tim Ferriss's book that was a real breakthrough for me, and I actually kind of came up with this, and then it was validated by reading his book. I started thinking about this, and I said, how can I get an amazingly huge amount of people to continuously give me money? That was my solution, right? That's not evil, it's not bad. I realize the whole system is just jacked up and bullshit anyways, is it not? And I said, so since the system is here, how can I get a lot of people to give me money? And how can I get them to keep giving me a lot of money consistently for the rest of my life? And that was a real question. Isn't that a good question? So if all money comes from is somebody giving it to you, and the only way that you can get it is by somebody who has it giving it to you, how can you get a lot of people to give it to you? Isn't that a good question? That's what business owners do. That's what corporations do. That's what Microsoft does. Heck, that's what the government does when they charge you taxes. They're saying, how can we get more people to give us free money? That's what the government's doing. But for us, it's a little bit different because, of course, we can't steal it like the government can. So guess what we have to do? We have to say, how can we, abiding in all the laws and all the regulations that are going on in the world today, how can we get an incredible amount of people to give us money and keep doing it for the rest of their life and give us more money than they give anybody else in their life? Folks, that's the formula for getting rich. Now, you might not like that. You might think it's unethical. It's not unethical with one caveat here. that you do things that only end in other people's best interest. See, here's the amazing thing that I discovered when I started thinking about the laws of money. I said, okay, let's scratch school out, let's scratch cars out, let's scratch keeping up with the Joneses out, let's grow some crazy hair, and let's think about this for who we are. And this is what I started to think about. I started to think about, okay, why do people give other people money? Because they want something from them, and that's the only reason. Right? So let's say somebody has a shovel, and let's draw a little shovel out here today, and let's say you've got money. Well, you want the shovel, this guy has a shovel, you've got money, this guy wants money, you give him the money, he gives you the shovel. Isn't that pretty simple? Well, here's the thing, folks, there are all sorts of things that people want that you've got. And if you don't got them, you can connect with them. And here's what I discovered. I discovered if you can set up a system to sell the shovels to all the people who want shovels, you can do something that's almost so good. I mean, it would have been the dream of fairies thousands of years ago. You can actually get people from all over the world in all sorts of different systems and all sorts of different economies from all over the place who are doing all sorts of things to get that money, to give you money in exchange for something that you're not even actively involved in the process of selling. And how do you do that? You do that through a business system. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people, they say, I need money, so let's go sell something. And they go start hitting up doors, and they start knocking on doors, and they start picking up the phone and pounding the phone, and they start writing articles, and they start making videos, and they start saying, let's sell some products, woohoo! And you know what business owners do? They create a system, and from that system they get other people to sell that product for them in exchange for money. So they give those people money. The other people sell the products. And then the system owner makes money without being involved in the process. In fact, he might hire programmers, and the programmers do the programming in exchange for money that he gives the programmers, employees. He might hire people that work on the office, the manual labor, right? He might hire, a painter to paint a painting in the building. He might hire somebody to orchestrate and hire everyone. And still, somehow, without being involved in that process, there's somebody in every business sitting at a top who's doing very little in that business and who's making a majority of the money. In fact, thousands of people are getting this system owner money from all over the world, and he may or may not be working at all. So how do you work 4 hours a day? Today, this is the only way, unfortunately. Now, I do think that that's unfortunate. I would actually prefer it that we lived in a society where everybody only had to work 4 hours a day and we could all do what we wanted all the time. Because, heck, you know what? If it's going to be between spending some time with my wife, having dinner with her, reading stories with her, talking to my family, my older brother Johnny, who likes to play guitar, traveling on beaches, going on vacations, hanging out with people, and work, I ain't going to work if I don't have to, right? I'd rather have a system in place. Now, I'm not lazy. I work, in fact, harder than most people work a lot of the time because I'm excited about life and I've got energy because I eat well. I'm in the tropics, right? But if I don't have to do anything, I'm not going to do it, right? So I'm going to create a system. It's the smartest way to generate income. You don't even have to be smart to own a system, right? That's the best way to get money. Now, here's the unfortunate things about designing systems yourself. It takes money. So you have to have a bunch of people who give you money if you want to build your own system for people to give you money in exponential numbers. The only way. Now, I'm not saying cheat people. I'm not saying steal from people. All right? What I'm saying is there's a system that provides valuable products and services to people to the sense that they want to give you money in exchange for those products or services in large numbers. And in fact, they like doing it so much, they want to keep doing it every month, every week, for the rest of your life, regardless of whether you work or not. Now that is a good system, right? So that's how money's made today. Now, unless you own it, unless you're the Federal Reserve, unless you're sitting there taxing everybody, that's what you got to do. You got to do that, or you got to go into a job and you got to trade your hours for dollars, which is just stupid if you know a better way, right? I'm not saying you're stupid. Again, I traded hours for dollars and I hated it. I'm sure you hate it if you're doing it. Most people hate it. I'm so glad I'm out of it, it's unbelievable, right? It's the stupidest thing in the world when you think about it. But the fact is that that's how our current system is built until we overthrow it. This is just the way that it has to be. So let's talk about these systems here for a second. Let's talk about some things that you can do. So you say, well, so wait. Where's this money coming from, Dave? Where's all this money coming from? It's coming from an exponentially expanding, growing group of people who are continuously giving you money every day for the rest of your life. So let's talk about how this works here. let's talk about a traditional business system, or a traditional business as most people operate it. So we have Ma and Pa, all right, over here, and they have their little shovels, and they decide they want to sell more shovels, so they open a store, they do the books, they do the accounting, they do the phone work, they do the design, they do the marketing, and they're there from 5 in the morning till 10 p.m. at night to make $20,000 or $30,000 a year. Not a very good business, because they don't have a system. Now let me tell you what the entrepreneurs that rule the world do. What they do is they come up with that same little shovel, and here's what they do. They make a little bit less money on the front end in favor of having a system that takes them out of the equation of selling that. They make a little bit less money. In fact, they work a little bit less hard, because what they do is they outsource the rest of this work to more capable people than themselves. So as their business expands, they do less to incrementally make more money. Now, this way actually does make less money than the other way initially, but as this business expands and grows in size, what happens is they start developing systems and resources where they're so free from it that they can go build another business system. And so the smartest business system owners in the world build one system, they build another system, and they continuously build systems. As one fails or one becomes outdated, it's okay, because they've got multiple backup systems, and they keep creating income streams for the rest of their life. This is the best place to be in the world of the entrepreneur, and you can do it in less than 4 hours a day if you learn how. So how do you get started? Well, in my opinion, the best way to get started in building business systems is the way where you don't have to build the original system. Why? Well, because if you have to build the system, you've got to have money, and chances are you don't. Why do I say that you probably don't? Because of the fact that 95% of the world doesn't have money, and they can't. So if you're among that 5%, you can start a business system. Well, that's okay, right? But for the rest of us, for the people who are living in a green 1996 Dodge Caravan with the paint peeling off, you've got to create a business system, and in fact, if you don't do it, you can't get started. So how do you create a business system, or how do you become a part of a preceding existing system through this industry of home-based business or the network marketing industry? So let me explain to you how the network marketing industry works. We realize today that the government is evil and oppressive, and that they do things that on their own wills and desires that have no interest in helping people whatsoever, that's based in an ever-increasing, exponentially expanding supply of debt that they have to pay off. So politicians are motivated by taking more money from people from taxes. If you ever wondered why taxes goes up when there's Republicans and Democrats, it's because there's an exponentially expanding amount of debt that can't be paid off no matter what we do. That's exactly what's happening in America today. So they realize this, and they keep increasing taxes and regulations. And guess what? Taxes and regulations don't hurt big companies. People think that they do, when in fact that they don't. They might, in the fact that they hurt big companies and their ability to grow faster, because obviously if you've got more profits, you can hire more employees, you can outsource faster, you can create systems faster than if you've got less profit. So it does hurt them in that sense. But guess who it really hurts? Poor people in the middle class. Why? You say, Dave, but they're not being taxed. This taxes is going to corporations, the people making tons of money, to people making $250,000 a year. How is it hurting the poor in the middle class? Here's how it's doing it, folks, is because as taxes, as regulations, as they exponentially expand, as the government continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, guess what tends to reduce in size? Profits. All right, my parents are here, so as they walk in, I might actually have to stop this video and restart it in just a minute. Let me actually shut this window here, keep this going. So as I flew my parents down, we're putting them up in our house out here for a few days. So as taxes and regulations increase, profits decrease, guess what else decreases? The amount of systems that can be created. We say, why is this? Because systems become unavailable to those who don't have big money. Today, most people can't afford to create a business system. Why? Because they've got to go through permits. They've got to go through regulations. They've got to pay taxes that they don't even know about. They've got to have paperwork that they don't know how to fill out. They have to have employees that they can't afford. You can't open up the side of your business and start a business today. The government will come and they'll throw you in jail. In fact, I was at a guy's house the other day. He started a business, didn't pay his permits, didn't pay his taxes. The government came and they tore the building down, and he's lucky he's not in jail. So business has become inaccessible to poor and middle class people, meaning the poor get poorer, the middle class gets poorer, and the rich own more of the business systems as time goes by in our current system, and there's no other way to do it unless we hit reset. Well, guess what that means to you? If you're like 95% of the world, you can't create a business system. And we're not going to criticize that. We're just going to realize that it is what it is, and we're going to show you how to participate in a business system that's created by somebody that's got the money to start it properly, and that's to this industry that we call network marketing. It's the greatest industry that's ever been created for our current system, and this is why, because it allows people that don't understand systems, that don't understand businesses, to participate in a kind of business system that they don't have to have the money to start. It's the coolest free enterprise type of industry that's ever existed in the world. And here's how it works.
Hey, my friend Dave Sharp, president and co-founder of Empower Network. Welcome to the page to where we actually want to really talk about the opportunity here to take our products, the products that have impacted and influenced people all over the world, and take them out into your marketplace, your community, with your friends and family, and help them make a difference in their life and earn a whole lot of money in the meantime. Guys, over the course of the last 12 months since we launched in October of 2011, we've helped more people earn more money inside of our affiliate program than anything I've ever seen. We've actually paid out over $20 million in the last 12 months. I can't imagine what we're going to do over the course of the next 12 months. But the really cool thing is that not only have we put a lot of money in bank accounts, we've impacted a lot of lives. We've had a lot of people who have taken a lot of action inside of our affiliate program. And because we give people a really, really impactful product line, they can take that out and give it to people, deliver it to people, offer it to people, and people want it. That's the really cool thing. Here's the other thing that I want to point out, is that this is a program, this is a company, this is a system that's built for marketers by marketers. Now, you don't particularly have to be a pro marketer to be able to make money inside of our affiliate program. As a matter of fact, you're actually going to hear from a couple of people in a minute that have never made money in anything before outside of a job, and they've done $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 inside of our affiliate program. Some of them have even done $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. But the cool thing is people have experienced a lifestyle change. They've been able to go out there and spend more time with the people that they want to spend time with, doing the things that they want to do, and they've done that again with the people that they love. Guys, this right here, right now, is an opportunity for you to do something that's going to make a difference in other people's lives, to where you can lay down at night and feel good about what you did that day, that you took a product that people wanted and needed out to the marketplace, and you got paid what you deserve. Guys, we've got many, many products here that pay 100% commissions. Why did we do that? Because we built this company not so we could make a bunch of money, but so our teams and our people and you could make a bunch of money. But again, don't take my word for it. I actually wanted to introduce you to some people who have had tremendous results. Now, does this guarantee that you're going to get those same results? Absolutely not. I don't know you. You could be a weenie, a wussy. You could take no action. I have no idea. But here's what I trust. I trust that if you're watching this video, you're ready to decide to take action. And if they can do it, you can do it. Let me introduce you to some of them right now.
My name is Jessica Rush, and I am from Alabama.
My name's Jose Rivera, and I'm from San Diego, California.
My name is Nicole Cooper. I currently live in Memphis, Tennessee, but I'm originally from Los Angeles, California.
Hey guys, my name is Sophia Rashkin. I'm from Denver, Colorado.
My name is Peter Sorensen. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey friends, Toby here, one part Toby and Layla, originally from Scotland but living in Canada.
Hey, my name is Chuck Marshall and I am from Vancouver, Washington.
My name is Arthur Tubman from New York City.
My name is Kevin Connect. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Melissa Connect. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
What's up, everyone? My name is Chris Record from Northern California.
Tony Rush from Dothan, Alabama.
My name is Aaron Rashkin, Denver, Colorado.
My name is Tracy Walker and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Tam, born and raised in Houston, Texas. And before I joined Empower Network, I'm actually in engineering, mechanical engineering.
My first impression with Empower Network was, oh no, not again.
I honestly didn't know what to think of it quite at first, but I was intrigued.
Honestly, I thought it was a scam. I saw this guy with long hair, and he just looked like a stoner to me.
My first instinctive response was, this is the ugliest website I've ever seen in my life.
The first video I saw of David Wood was him running out in the ocean in Costa Rica, screaming and yelling with his hair frizzing everywhere, so I really didn't know what to think about it, to be honest.
I heard about it from my husband. He actually got started without my knowledge.
I actually started without telling my wife. You can start for $25, you can start for $100 without telling your wife.
When we first looked at it, we're like, oh, another one of those things that we're all just going to jump in, make some short-term money, and that's it.
You know, there's a lot of people making a ton of money, and I just wanted to know whether or not if it was for real.
Gut feeling about Empower when I first heard about it was, you know what, let's give it a shot.
So I will admit, at first, a little bit sketched out, a little bit skeptical, but as I looked more into it, I found out this is the real deal.
When I joined Empower, I was at a spot where I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I really wasn't making a ton at that exact point in time.
I hit this emotional wall where I just could not grind anymore. For about 90 days, I could not work.
My wife, Melissa, and I actually filed bankruptcy. So we were pretty skeptical and pretty gun-shy.
We had pretty much no money in the bank at all.
We were doing things that we didn't love to do, want to do, and we felt like we were a slave to the things that we were doing.
I was coming off a pretty big death in my family, and we were at a pretty low point.
I had a background in real estate. That all crashed on me. You know, I was in a situation where I'd gone through foreclosure, massive debt.
I had a negative bank account, a 485 credit score. I was rear-ended in a car accident. I was left with whiplash. At that point, I had sort of hit rock bottom.
Over 6.5 years ago, I was sitting in prison, and I was in a position where I had to basically rebuild my life.
We're living in the basement of a bar. We had no money, we had no future, we had no security. We were basically alcoholics, drinking our life away.
Had no list, no online internet marketing experience, didn't do any paid advertising.
I flew out to Atlanta, Georgia to go to my very first event for Empower Network, and I realized that there was a real community, real people getting real results. It wasn't just a couple guys in a website.
I'm surrounded by a community of people in a business that is extraordinary. It's the best thing I've ever been a part of in my entire life.
When we went to the first event and then the second event, that was when everything clicked. That's when we had our aha moment.
We were very part-time in the beginning, and it wasn't until we realized that we were making $20,000 a month that it really got our attention.
I gave birth to my son a month and a half after being in Empower Network. Within that 6-week period, I made 18 grand.
I knew I had it when in the first week I made $9,000.
I'm seeing Facebook comments that are saying, wow, I made $3,000 overnight.
Empower Network, I did $10,000 my first night while on vacation, taking my kids out in San Antonio.
First month, I was able to make $10,000 with Empower Network.
This company, this system, this movement has made a tremendous impact on my life financially.
2 to 3 hours a day to make $40,000 every single month. I mean, who does that, and where else can you do that?
Just think about a time in your life where you're like, I'm here, or it makes sense, or you know, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
You know, it's not about selling the product, it's about selling the journey.
This is unlike any of those millions of other things we've seen.
Wherever you're at in your life right now, understand that it's 100% real.
You know, we're getting Facebook notes and messages and emails, having conversations with people that are making as much as $10,000 in their first 5 or 6 weeks.
I've learned the true concept of Not working for money, but getting your money to work for you.
Doing the right things, I finally found a system that was going to back me up and help make it all possible.
It's 2 hours. It's following a really simple system that anybody can do.
I got into this business, I did what you told me to do, and I made money.
I've made approximately $406,000.
I was making about $30,000, $35,000 every single month.
And my earnings about $60,000.
I just bought a new Maserati.
Our best month was like $60,000 or $70,000 for the month.
Financially, it's been an amazing blessing. I've hit over 110 grand.
I've done about $579,000.
In our 5th month in the business, we did $34,000.
A little bit over $300,000. I've made around $125,000 so far with Empower Network.
My accountant came back and she was shocked that we don't really have overhead like a traditional restaurant or some traditional businesses. And she's like, you must spend this money.
Listen to all of the people that are making things happen and sharing the insight, because it doesn't matter where you come from, you can get there.
It's the attitude of believing, how can I, instead of I can't.
But it's no longer about my boss telling me how many days I can have with my wife or my kids.
You deserve it. You need to believe that you deserve it. You've got to want it and have the drive inside of you.
There's something inside of you that says, I deserve more, and yes, you do.
Have a belief and a mindset that you can do it. Don't discount yourself. You can absolutely do it. Take massive action. Just get up every morning and say, you know what, I'm going to give today my best.
You can't do that when you're on a salary and you're barely keeping enough just to maintain yourself.
You can do anything that you want. If you're ready to finally create results in your life, then just step up to the plate, take massive action, and do it.
There is nothing more joyful, fulfilling, and pleasing than being able to help anybody around you in any situation that they're in.
I fought the fight, made it worth it, made it happen, juggled everything, and just found a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
I'm going to take action on the Empower products. I'm going to go through the 15K. I'm going to go through the master's course. I'm going to get all in.
Follow suit and just move forward, take action, and I'm thrilled. I'm excited. It's changed everything for me.
Hey, this is Dave Sharp and Dave Wood here with Empower Network, and we just wanted to talk about getting money here for a second. You're probably under the Get Money tab here on our blog, and you've possibly gone through and seen some of our other videos on our vision, on the leadership here of the company, on the system that really we use and train people on to market online, to get more prospects, to get more leads, and now get more money. So what essentially we're going to talk about here for just a few minutes up here in the mountains of Costa Rica. It's getting a little dark here, but no better time to talk about getting more money. Now, here's the truth of the matter is that the majority of people who are watching this video, whether they want to admit it or not, and we just want to be as authentic and transparent as possible and just admit that we like getting more money, want to get more money in their life. And getting more money in your life can do a couple of things for you. And essentially what it did for this broke carpenter who struggled with alcoholism and addiction is it allowed me to do more of the things that I love with the people that I love doing them with, hang out in the mountains with my friends up in Costa Rica, start new business ventures, give my family the life that they deserve. Previous to getting involved with the Empower Network, I didn't really have the ability to do that because I was actually inside of this industry. Previous to when I was a construction worker, we all know really it's hard to really get ahead when you're taking one step forward and two steps back, trading time for money, although there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job. But when I got involved with some of the other systems, the other companies, the other businesses inside of this industry, I really had a hard time also because I was then taking one step forward, two steps back. I was getting 20, 30, 40% commissions. I had to wait 1, 2, 3, and 4 weeks for that check to come in the mailbox, then take that check, even though it was exciting, to the bank, deposit it. The beautiful thing about what our members at Empower Network have the ability to do is bring people to the front door, let us do the work to get them in the back door, and then earn 100% commissions that are directly deposited into their bank account daily, hourly, even by the minute.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, really, what we're giving to people. We're not even really selling this to people. We're really just giving it to them, Dave. And that really is kind of funny to say, but it is, because we're giving you our entire business model. You get to keep all the money, let us do the work, and you can keep the money. I mean, does that sound like a deal? Sounds like a deal to me. That would have been ridiculous had I heard that when I first got online. But I wanted to just really quick, I wanted to share with you a discovery that I had, about getting money when I had been in my business for a while. Because originally when I got involved with the marketing industry. You know, I was like, you know, you've got to be in, you know, a product that you just believe in. You know, you got to believe. You know, you got to believe in what you're doing. You got the product. You got to believe in it. But I realized something, Dave, and what I realized is that it doesn't really matter if you believe in it. What matters is, do people want to buy it? You know, and do you get money when they buy it? Because if you got a product that you believe in and nobody wants to buy it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, if you got a product you believe in and people want to buy it, well, then that's something special. That's what we have here at the Empower Network. But the reality is that I realize that in the marketing industry, the predominant reason people are involved with it is to get money. A lot of them lie about it. They say, well, you know, I'm here because I want to help people. And you say, well, how are you going to do that? By giving money to charities. So how are you going to get that money? And they're like, well, yeah, I guess I'm here to just get money. Just leave me alone. You know, and they do want to help people, but they want to support their families. They want to be able to travel. They want to be able to sink their toes in the hot sand, go to the travel to the mountains in Costa Rica. So many people want to have money to come visit me and say hello down here, and so few people do. So I want to develop this system to really help people to get more money than ever. And the only way that really works is to give people 100% commission. So I discovered something, and what's that? Well, you got to look at your life here for a second. You got to ask yourself, how am I getting money in my life today? How do I get money in my life today? Predominantly, the people watching this video are probably going to be people who either have jobs or did have jobs, and maybe you have work, but you're just looking for a little bit more freedom. If you have a job, how do you get money? Your boss gives it to you, essentially. He's giving you the money. You got one person giving you money. And I had this realization, Dave, and I said, what if instead of one guy giving me money, I could have thousands of people giving me money every single day. And, you know, the only way that I found to do that was not being a part of something, not, you know, being a part of it, you know, as an affiliate of something, but literally having my own merchant account that people were depositing money directly into my bank account. Just imagine for a second, rather than just your boss getting you money, imagine every single day having 10, 15, 20 people giving you money into your bank account, thousands of dollars residually every single day. That's what you can do if you are a part of what I like to call the ultimate way to get money. And what's that? If you want to make $5,000 a month, what's the easiest way to do it? Get 50 people giving you $100 a month. Easiest way to make $5,000 a month in the world. Now, what we're going to show you how to do as a part of the Empower Network, we're actually going to show you how to create a model without having to be a marketer that literally deposits money into your bank account starting the minute that you get it. We're going to show you how we can make the sales. Dave and I can do the selling. We're good at selling. We're like born with sales language in our mouth. I can't explain, we just love to sell stuff. Dave and I love selling stuff. But we're actually going to show you how to use our sales ability, and you get to keep all of the money. You say, Dave, what's in it for you? Now, this is the reality and this is the truth right now as we're watching this video. Dave and I are making money the exact same way that you are. We're in the game with you. We said, you know what, why don't we do something a little bit different? I said, Dave, why don't we do something a little bit different? Why don't we do something where we're actually walking with people side by side, doing what they have to do, building a business like they have to build, so they really respect us. Because aren't you sick of all the gurus? Well, we're going to show you how to do what we're doing and get thousands of dollars daily. Here's what I want to encourage you to do. You've been looking on this site probably for hours now, right? If you have not seen our video that explains the basic Empower Network membership, you can get started today for a ridiculously low amount of money. This is not a sales pitch. We are literally just giving you our business model for really under $30. I mean, it's unbelievable how inexpensive you can get started in business with the Empower Network. We are giving it to you to help you get money. So go ahead and click on one of the images on the side or at the top or below, you know, the ones that change when your mouse goes over them a little bit, all right? And opt into the page. Put your email into that page that you see, and we are going to show you how to get more money than ever.
Absolutely. And here's the interesting thing that I want to leave you with. This is a thought that I don't know if you caught, but I want to point it out, is we're not actually you're not giving us the $25. You're actually giving the person who referred you to Empower Network the $25 the same way that your people will be giving you $25. Here's the beautiful thing, that everything is already set up for you on the other side of this video. You don't have to set up all these different complicated things. You're probably wondering, how does the money get into the bank account? Well, it's a very simple process. It's already set up for you. We've already got all the nuts and bolts in place. The foundation is already laid. The concrete has been poured and the house has been built. All you need to do is come in, put your furniture in, get comfortable, and get started. we're literally excited for all of the members that have already got started and all the money they're already making. We're also excited about getting you started, welcoming you to the team, getting you trained in the most simplistic, proven way ever created in this entire industry. If you're feeling just sick and tired of not having the life that you deserve, not giving your family the life that they deserve, not having the money in your life that you need to do the things that you want, it's time to stand up, to lock arms, to make a difference. Click the banner beside this video, see what we got to offer, and we'll see you on the inside.
Absolutely.